Right now I'm experiencing or enjoying the most amazing freedom in love with my partner, and I see that as a reflection of my relationship with my inner being.
Everything is a reflection of your relationship with your inner being. No exception. And if you tend to that relationship first, every other relationship with every person, place, or thing will be good.
And I want to hear more about freedom with my inner being. How?
Well, you see, your inner being is the first front of actualized expansion as a result of you. This morning, Esther was getting herself ready, and she was thinking, there's not really enough time to really get myself ready. And then she thought, oh, well, this isn't about me, this is about Abraham. And no one really cares what Abraham's hair looks like. They'll just be brilliant and no one will notice. And we said to Esther, you are the manifested version of Abraham. In other words, she is the actualization of that which is Abraham. And so your question leads into that nicely. In other words, who is your inner being? Well, your inner being is expanding as a result of that which you are about. But then you are the reflection back of that expansion. We're taking this cycle of life to a new place of understanding, aren't we? So you were source energy, you were that inner being, which is really not the easiest thing to describe in your physical terms because it is consciousness. So you are this non-physical consciousness, and a part of that flows into that which is you here in this physical body, where you explore and expand. And that source within you, your inner being, becomes the immediate vibrational equivalent of that expansion. Now, that's all freedom. In other words, you freely came, you wanted to so much. You freely explore and you freely shoot rockets of desire without even realizing that you are doing that. It is a natural consequence of your focus. So because of your freedom, you're selfish. We have to put selfish in there because we can't talk about freedom without the realization of self. Your selfish perspective, you're able to discern wanted and unwanted. I like that more than that. I like that even more than that. In other words, those preferences are constantly born within you, born from you. And as those rockets of desire or those preferences move into that vibrational vortex that we've been talking about, your inner being becomes that expanded version of you, freely and joyously and appreciatively. So then your work is to find a way to be a vibrational match to that expansion. Even though you have become that, you are at all moments in time free to join it or not, free to experience the resonance of it or free to disallow your resonance of it. But your inner being, who has benefited by your exposure to life, is also free to choose. But your inner being chooses that alignment, because you see, your inner being has an inner being who 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 has an inner being. And all of that is aligned with that well-being that humans scantily and without understanding it hardly at all call God. That energy stream, that consciousness of well-being, that stabilizing influence of all that is. And in any moment, every point of consciousness all along the way has the freedom to choose alignment and resonance with that or not.
I didn't realize.
Because in every particle of the universe, there is wanted and absence of wanted. And every point of consciousness has the option of choosing. Most points of consciousness are choosing easily. The subatomic particles, most of the beasts of your planet, all choosing alignment because the dominance of that well-being is so pervasive. And, oh, hear this. And because they are not focused consciousness into the contrast with the express purpose of taking thought beyond that which it has been before, like you are, you see. Starting to feel more appreciation of who you are in all of this. We're talking about the evolution of all species, but we're talking about the absolute freedom to be. But we cannot speak of freedom without putting enormous emphasis upon the overriding, underlying, empowering, pervasive, all-inclusive vibration of well-being, which you have the freedom to choose in this moment or not. So you kind of get how when you choose not to allow it, it feels so off. It's a big stream. It's a big stream that will dominate and will prevail regardless of what any of you do anytime, which is our way of saying you can't get it wrong. People talk often of, oh, well, we're just going to mess this planet up. We're going to get so out of focus and so out of balance, and we're going to do so many of the wrong things, which is a person's way of saying you're not doing what I want you to do. That's usually what they mean. Oh, you're destroying the planet. If you would behave more like me, it wouldn't be destroyed. And we say, it's not being destroyed. It's being rediscovered. It's being re-perpetuated. It's being re-energized. It's being refocused. There aren't enough of you here in your disconnection to destroy this planet. It's in the state of becoming. It's in an utter state of well-being. But you have the freedom to know that or not. You have the freedom to choose the thought that wrenches your gut and makes you worried and makes you misbehave. Or you have the freedom to accept the well-being and look for evidence of it and tune yourself to the frequency of that.
That point of my inner being having the choice, never heard before. It really hit me in my heart when you said it.
Yeah.
Do they really?
No, your inner being is the exception to the basis of freedom.
But you were saying...
Everyone in the universe is free except your inner being.
But my inner being also has the freedom to choose away from what I would prefer. How dare they?
But you see, your inner being in its alignment will never choose away from what you really want. It might choose, and often does, choose differently than what you're vibrationally choosing. But that's why you have the benefit of that guidance, you see. And we think you're brilliant to intertwine the subject of this with freedom. Because you're wondering, just how free am I?
Yes.
If I don't choose what my inner being chooses, then what will happen? If you don't choose in any moment what your inner being chooses, what happens?
I don't feel good.
Does your inner being cave in and come with you? Esther thinks we should. Or does your inner being just stand its well-being ground, leaving you the freedom to join or not? You see, beaming the signal, shining the light, being the well-being, the inner well-being, the inner being well-being, that you have the option of joining or not, joining or not, joining or not. Really good conversation. Haven't had this one before.